This is radioonfire.com. Yours truly, Diamond K, in here alongside my father. How you doing, Dad?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Everything good?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So we have a jam-packed show for you guys here today. It's just like we are literally 3 weeks away from the most important midterm election. I think we can say that one. We could definitely say the most important midterm election. And we need everybody to get out and vote.
Yeah.
Get out and vote.
Yeah.
So when you were coming up, I guess say like 18, 20, how riled up or engaged were kids your age about voting, or were they?
Well, if adults voted. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember when the first time I voted. I definitely wasn't 18.
Well, yeah, because I think maybe they changed it to 21, but probably when you were 18, it probably was 21. Then I think they pushed it.
You know what? I cannot. Well, the first time I voted was here.
It was here in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would think that. I can't even remember the first time I voted. But to answer your question directly, young people did not. 18, 19, they weren't thinking about voting back then. 20, it was... Even
21 probably wasn't thinking about it.
It was always older people. And that's why, even today, that's why I talk about young people not vote. But they vote. The young people vote better today, more consistently today, and more aware today than they were then. Because we only, we didn't even... You had 3 news channels, and they came, and the news only came on for 15 minutes at 6 o'clock.
So there was no like midday news. Morning,
but not like it is now.
So it was really short.
Yeah, you didn't even know what was happening, like we know now.
Like we know right now in real time when something's happening.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you would say for the most part the youth weren't as engaged in politics as they are now. No. And they're not totally engaged now, but they're more engaged.
Yeah, but right, exactly. I would think not until their late 20s or early 30s that people really got involved seriously, realizing the importance of the elections, and it's growing every day.
Yeah, agree. I feel that a vote for Governor Hogan is just like a vote for Trump.
Well, it is. He's Republican. And,
right.
Whatever the president wants to do, that he's going to fall in line with every other Republican. It's interesting because, Obama, who was a great president, and black people followed Obama. Obama is telling people they need to vote for jealous. And we got a lot of people here in Baltimore City that are determined. I got a call from a preacher today telling me what kind of turnout they had at the Odell's reunion. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the Republican candidates was there. And so it's unbelievable how we can say, well, I want to vote for Hogan, and yet he's a Republican, and then they say they don't like President Trump. He's a Republican. That's his partner. They're on the same team. Regardless of how Hogan acts, they're on the same team.
Meaning they believe the same things.
Yes.
They want the same things.
And here's a critical point. Even if they don't start off liking Trump, none of those Republicans in the House liked him. Now they all fall in line. Mm-hmm. They all follow him because they think that he is winning for them. What's the guy? What was the senator in South Carolina who ran for president? And
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham Trump and him were fighting, feuding, and Trump gave his phone number out during the campaign, told people to call him, and now he carries
his
Trump
golf.
water.
He's carrying his golf club.
He carries his golf club. Pulling out the club. You want what iron you want?
No, not that one. Not that one.
So Hogan will fall in line like the rest of them.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. It's ironic to me. This time 4 years ago, Hogan was trailing Anthony Brown in the polls. So polls really mean nothing. They're not 100%. Trump was trailing in the polls. Polls only are as good as what the person tells you. They may not want to tell you. They may say anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember once, I don't know if I told you this or not. I remember once one of those, somebody called the house. We were living on Bernice.
Right.
Called the house asking about TV shows.
Right.
That's something we watch. Some of the stuff right. This, you know what I mean? And it wasn't 100% reflective of what we did. I was just, having fun and
right.
You know what I mean? So I think some of that is polls. You know what I mean? And what if you're not decided yet? And what if something happens in before the election that changes your mind?
Right. And then on top of that, they're just taking a snapshot.
Right. And a small one too.
A small one. And then you just said, I'm just saying whatever I want to say, no.
But what they can do sometimes is influence people. I think that while the polls with Hillary and Trump were not accurate, I think that it gave Hillary supporters a false sense of, she got this. You know what I mean? And in some of those key states, it hurt. Hurt Hillary. And it effectively hurt the world.
Right. That's literal. Hurt the world.
You know what I mean? Hurt the world.
And then the thing about it, too, is that sometimes a lot of people, they didn't decide until they got up that morning.
Right.
Who am I going to vote for? They don't know.
Right.
And then they just push a button.
Right.
And that was it.
And you said something that's so key. Falling in line. People like to fall in line. People like to go along, get along. Where you going to get something to eat from? I'm going to go there too. What you doing? You going to do this? You watch such and such? All right, I'm going to watch that too. Who you voting for? You going to vote for such and such? You know what I mean? You hear and I vote for such and such. And a lot of it is just, when I ask people about Hogan, a lot of times they don't really have an opinion. They don't really know why. Right. They just go along, get along. And has it always been like that?
Yeah, that's how humans are. Unless you can get somebody in there that's exciting. I mean, when Obama came in, these people were excited. Trump got his base excited. This election now with Jealous and Hogan, I mean, they just go, because unfortunately, Jealous has not gotten them excited like he needs to. Like, for instance, you got the Florida and Georgia gubernatorial races a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, they've become national issues and very polarizing elections. You know what I mean? And we're going to get to that. But it's just, as for Baltimore, I think that a lot of times we don't always step up when we need to.
Because so many times people are in a position of they just trying to eat.
Okay.
Pay their bills and go home and have a place to live, and that's where they like you to be at, to be overwhelmed.
Exactly.
And and so they can't. The last, I don't care who the governor is. Yeah, and unfortunately, unless it's somebody that can get them excited. And
Yeah.
so,
I asked a question on Facebook, and I asked people, do y'all really think voting for Larry Hogan is good for the city of Baltimore? And some of the comments that I got were maddening. All right. So Danny said that he has not done bad so far, but I do have a big decision to make when I vote. And I said, you think he's done a good job? Another person said that overall he hates the city. But he does have a few selective people that he likes to help out. I would suppose that's true. Another person, Cooper, says he hasn't done a bad job. He seems to care for our kids, especially the law based on all students who graduate with a 2.5 grade average. What the hell is she talking about? He has set a neighborhood vegetable garden and remodeled the basketball court and playground in my neighborhood, so he has my vote.
well, that's the sad thing.
That's really sad.
I've heard people say that. Well, he came through the hood and he went through the barbershop and he
He has a bald head. Okay, so
Yeah.
what? He didn't
And,
do anything at the barbershop
and so I'm gonna go on and vote for him.
because I saw him.
But do you see how hungry we are for attention? Came to the barbershop, I'm gonna vote for him. He just came, and so we just starving for attention, and we forget about what they're saying. It's almost like did I tell you that on Sunday when I first came to Baltimore, I went to church with my grandmother. I was telling your sister, I went to church with my grandmother. She lived on Pressman Street in Division, and I went to church with her, and it was in walking distance, that particular church, and walking to church, and then walking back home, I said, Grandmother, I said, I didn't understand anything the preacher said, and she said, it's okay, it just tickles your ear. I just like the way it sounds.
Tickles your ear.
It tickles your ear. She didn't know what he said either. She told me, I don't know what he said, but it just sounded good. And this is what we've gotten into, and we've been doing it for decades. It just sounds good. He showed up, and it's a shame. But so Hogan is going to, unfortunately, I think he's gonna take it.
Yeah. Patterson said that he would never get my vote. He let the kids freeze. And he punishes the city of Baltimore.
Aside from all of that, how can you elect and pull the lever for a Republican, and this president is out of hand? I mean, this is his partner. This is his ace. This is his blood brother. They on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you?
He's very close with Mike Pence.
Yeah, they on the
Hogan
same
is.
team.
Yeah.
And even if he wanted to do something different, he can't. He's gonna fall in line with all the other Republicans.
And he doesn't want to do anything different.
Right.
He doesn't want to do anything different.
He's gonna fall right in line.
Yeah. But based on polls, he is the second most popular.
Yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah, second most popular.
Governor in the state.
Republican.
Governor in the country.
Yeah.
Is that Republican or period?
No. Well, the only other, as far as his voter approval rating, Republican. And so another Republican in another blue state is more popular than him, and that is Massachusetts Charlie Baker, 1 percentage point. So they're doing this by the approval rating. So he has a 68% approval rating for Marylanders. So he did not win Baltimore in 2014, and I don't think that he will now.
No, I don't either.
But like my sister Shanae very astutely pointed out, he does not need to win Baltimore.
Obviously. Yeah.
Thank you, Shanae, for being a Debbie Downer. But yeah, but she's absolutely right, and he doesn't. I just want to make sure that he does not win Baltimore.
But he took Prince George's County, I believe.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
That's where Brown was from.
Right. And so his I guess the thing that really angered some of the people that are mad at him here in Baltimore would be canceling the almost $3 billion Red Line Transit project here in Baltimore and breaking the decades in the work $1 billion state center redevelopment that was going to go on. So these are major things. He spits in the face of Baltimore. You know what I mean? And he could care less. And coming through to a couple of churches and like you said, a couple of barbershops and sending some underlings to a party, that's not enough to me.
No, that's insulting.
Yeah. But for many, the writing is on the wall. Jack Young, president of City Council, did not want to say where he stood because, based on the polls, he doesn't want to
alienate the next governor.
Right.
He said, I got to deal with this guy, man.
Yeah.
This is called politics.
Yeah.
You know?
And he refused to answer the reporter's question about whether he would support Ben Jealous. That should ring some alarms to Democrats in this state.
It's politics. Politics. Yeah. The guy said it's a politics. But here's the thing. He said, he just said, well, if Jealous wins, I'll support him.
Yeah. So, but I definitely feel that vote for him is a vote for Hogan. Is a vote for Trump.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, on the same team. It's like if you play for the Baltimore Orioles and you play for the Baltimore Orioles. That's your team.
Right. He said, well, I don't really like the coach, but it does.
They gonna say, Hogan, you up next. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be right back, y'all. Shifted gears, we touched on the Georgia governor's race, which really reflects on a larger fight for voter rights. Still, in 2018, the Republicans, you talked about tricks, they're still trying to suppress the vote.
Well, listen, it goes to show you how easy it is for them to win in Baltimore because they don't have to do nothing. They don't have to do no tricks.
Yeah, just come to the barbershop.
Yeah, we already fall in line.
Right.
And in Georgia, they say, wait a minute, it's a little bit more hardball we got to play. And yeah.
So, in a move that, one thing that Trump has done, and as you know, there have always been corruption in politics. But one thing that Trump has done is just deny it. And it's like you didn't do it. Even if you did it, just deny it. You know what I mean? And it's all good.
And he has brought it to the forefront.
Right.
You can see what I did. And you can see it. Then he'll deny. He's like, I didn't really do that, but they said we got you on tape saying you did. I didn't say that. And the people just, hey, we got the tax bill through, and we got 2 Supreme Court candidates through. And so, I mean, I guess he must be doing something right. That's how they look at it.
In 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two. That's impressive. He didn't do it alone, but that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and going back to Georgia for a minute. So we have, you have a race between two people that I'm going to say don't like each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that they don't like each other. For the past few years, these two candidates have been fighting each other over voting, access to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
So on one corner, you have a potential history-making lady, Stacey Abrams, Democrat. She would be the first female governor in this country. Black female.
Sir.
Sorry,
yes,
black
sir.
female.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, I mean, she and you said this off camera, that she is, how did you say it? You said she is ready for prime time?
Oh, yeah. Right.
She is on the ball.
Yes.
She's somebody who energizes people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we don't live in Atlanta anymore. We go through there. Mm-hmm. We don't live there anymore, but we looking at this race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because she's energizing.
Right. Right.
Listening to her talk, and you said this, I sometimes when you watch the shows that lean to the left, mm-hmm. is it me, or do sometimes they try to trip up the Democrats? Try to trip them up with stuff, questions.
Well,
especially the black ones.
Yeah, I think that they call themselves trying to be fair.
Okay.
You know,
like devil's advocate.
Yeah, you know, and not being blatantly supportive of that person.
Because like with Tallahassee's mayor, I felt that they do that with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's the money gonna come from for this? Where
Right.
You know what I mean? They give them those kind of questions.
Right. Right.
No, they don't give them softballs. To me, it's all fastballs and hard. To me, hard balls.
No, right. I agree.
And you said they did that with Stacey Abrams. Could you highlight that tax?
Well, they said to her, they said, how? I mean, you run for governor, you owe taxes, and so she said, you're right, and I got a payment plan like thousands and millions of other people in this country, and I pay my my taxes. And she said, and I still have a business, and I have my niece that I'm raising, my grandparents, and she said, I'm doing a lot, and I'm still paying my taxes, and I'm running for governor, and I'm running because I know that I can help the people, because the people are just like me, and some are worse off than I am, and you see, and I still got student loans I'm paying.
Right.
So yeah, this is lady ready for prime time.
When you answer a question like that, instead of freezing up, when you answer a question like that, you win over people.
Right.
Because they say, man, she just like me.
Exactly.
I like her. Exactly. You know what I mean? And that's and you also mentioned her group. She has a group that has, in the last 5 years, registered thousands of new minority voters. Mm-hmm. And her opponent, Brian Kemp, he's mad about that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's trying to take the rights of voting away from some of the people, the very people that she's trying to register to vote.
Right. And then I heard they were asking her, well, where are all these voters going to come from that's going to vote for you? She said, I'm going to bring in thousands of people who've never voted before. Mm-hmm. And so that's scary. That's scary to them.
That's scary for conservatives. Exactly. Because what they don't like about that, and they try to mask it in the fraud. We're trying to combat fraud. But what they don't understand, or what they do understand, what they fear is that this person is energizing people that were previously not engaged.
Right.
These people didn't cut. These people were living.
Yeah.
They were around. They just weren't engaged in what was going on.
Right.
And what conservatives fear is the engagement of these new voters.
Right.
And sometimes they're voters who became disengaged at some point, and they're becoming re-engaged.
Right. And then back when Obama, that slogan, fired up and ready to go. Mm-hmm. And so that fact of them trying to take those 53,000 people off the rolls or making it more difficult for them, that is firing up the base, her base.
Fired up, ready to go.
Yeah, yeah.
What is amazing to me is Kemp is in charge of the election.
Unbelievable.
But he's also at the top of the ticket for the Republicans.
They said in every other case, that
He recused himself.
Exactly. He said,
This is a conflict of interest.
Exactly.
It's like if he wins, this is a tainted victory. You can't be the umpire and one of the team members. You know what I mean? You're gonna say strike every time the other person's up to bat.
And then whenever it's a county, you know how the elections goes. The county that they're coming in slow. We got to recount those. Those are all his friends. They already got. This is you know. So
it should be automatic that you. I mean, what are we doing here?
But that's because they got a Republican governor and they're running the state, and so they're making the rules.
Yeah, that person appointed him.
Exactly. So that's why it's imperative that we get in, so we can start making the rules.
But what they really need to do is, instead of all these tricks, because I've studied the 2000 presidential election. That was a robbery.
Yeah.
That was a robbery.
Right.
And nothing's changed in 18 years. They're still lying, cheating, and stealing. Which brings me back to Hogan. You don't need to. How can you support these type of people?
And that was the Republicans.
Always.
Republicans. And the Democrats were like, well, okay,
They did not count some votes. Mm-hmm. They were trying to hurry up and push it through. Same thing they did with trying to do with Kavanaugh. They want to hurry up and push it through. Forget it. No recount. They were trying to fight to not have a recount.
And this is the Supreme Court.
Right.
Who sanctioned George Bush.
Right.
And said he's president.
But, looking at it from the other side, this is, I'm Dwayne. You're my father. You're a former president, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that long ago. Mm-hmm. It was only one guy before me. Right. Difference between us.
Right.
These are all your friends.
That's right.
That's the White's boy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's that kind of stuff.
And at that time, his brother was the governor of Florida.
Ironic, and that's the place where we have discrepancy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Exactly. And the Bush family was working the whole thing. That is clear and evident.
But when you think about it, you've got. I was reading an article. Harris, Tamala Harris. Mm. She represents 20 million in California.
Major.
Then you've got North Dakota. He's just as powerful as she is. He might represent 200,000.
Right.
And so
that vote was decided there with Heidkamp. 3,000 vote difference of 3,000 votes. Mm-hmm. That is, a state like a close election in a state like California is like 200,000 votes. Mm-hmm. That would be that's like a close election. Mm-hmm. But do you think that Stacey Abrams can overcome these odds? Because these are great odds.
I do, because she's got people. They're working. They know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
They know what's going on, and I think so.
Last week, Eric Holder was campaigning for her, and he said, how Ms. Obama says, when they go low, we go high. And he said, when they go low, we kick them.
Yeah.
Controversial. And it's funny because even during President Obama's term, I think that Holder was a little controversial. I think that he's a little bit different than the Obamas, clearly. Yeah. Because he's more of a, you punch me, I'm going to punch you back type of person.
Well, you remember that famous comment that he had when he was in the Obama administration, when he said white men scared of, what did he say? It was the fact that they were scared to talk about race, is what it was. It was I can't think of the exact quote, but they just scared, and then that was an uproar. I mean, they just, what do you mean we're scared? You scared to talk about race, and race is a very controversial subject in this country, and it governs everything and maneuvers everything. So, yeah, and then here's the thing: they would talk about that, kick him, and the president Trump was running and said, "Hit him in the mouth." I remember the time we could knock him down
and I'll pay your legal bills.
I'll pay the legal bills. I'll pay. You go to jail, hit him in the mouth. No, I don't care, And
then, but these same people that were in an uproar about Eric Holder's comments defend Trump's comments and say, "Oh, but that's at a rally. He's just, he didn't mean it. It's hyperbole." You know what I mean? And those same people now turn and defend behavior that's worse than what they were complaining about.
But you know what? That's why it is so important. It is so important to have your own mind to understand. Let me jump completely off the subject. The boxer Mayweather. They were talking about Floyd Mayweather. They would say, "Well, he's running. He's a chicken. He always running. He's always running." And now that he's out, now it's over. Now they say, "Well, he is the greatest. He was great." Because if you go for that bullshit that they give you, you got to have your own mind to know, if I'm running, then why don't you catch me and beat me up then? So when they talk and talk, well, this is different because Trump was at a rally and he was bullshit. You got to stand up and hold us right. You've got to stand and have a firm ground. This is where I stand. This is you and this is us. We're on this side, And I do believe, because if not, this country is through. I do believe that the American people, in the long run, will decide that they want liberty and justice. And like Superman, the right, whatever, that little cliche they used to have, the American way. Because this is...
You talking about the black and white Superman that would jump out the window?
Yes.
I like that one. Yeah.
But like we were saying off air, this country is losing its morality, its leverage, its credibility.
Yeah.
It's losing everything. Everything.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into our final topic, because the reason why we're losing these things is because of Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
It's squarely on his shoulders.
Right.
So Trump he's done it again in another controversy. What really concerns me as far as an election against him this time is the fact that he is larger than life. He dominates the headlines.
Yeah.
And for some people, the sheep, as I like to call them, they'll just act on the fact that he's probably the most recognizable, famous person in the world.
Right.
And that, just seeing his name there, could just, influence people with weak minds, or no type of thought either way, and just go with the famous name. Yeah.
No question. And the reason that the situation in Saudi Arabia even happened is because he gave sanction to it.
And that's what I was talking about before. Well, I said that Trump causes these things because they feel like, you hear how he talks about the journalists here. If he could do that to some journalists here, he would. He can't. You know what I mean? Even him, I think that at this point, they would reluctantly have to turn on him at that point, Republicans, if he tried to do a journal.
I think it's just a matter of time before a murder happens on these soils. with
A journalist.
a journalist. It's just a matter of time.
And they'll just say that they're trying to pin this on me, but I didn't do it. Or I had nothing to do with it.
Just like those women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's
If
just
that
about-
happens, my
it will.
goodness.
A murder on the United States soil, and just like they've been having murders in Russia all these years.
Well, you definitely been having them and in England. You said,
Yeah, right. England. We gonna have it
but
right here.
but all clues point back to Putin and those. But Trump has joined Saudi Arabia's Khashoggi cover-up. So it's been 2 weeks since the
I
journalist.
can't believe it's 2 weeks. We didn't even hear about it. 2 weeks
Right,
ago. We heard about it a
because
week later.
October 2nd is when he went missing.
Okay.
So Jamal Khashoggi, for people that don't know, he's a resident
The United States.
of the United States, but he is from Saudi Arabia. Disappeared after entering his country's. This is supposed to be a safe haven place,
Right.
but he entered their consulate in Istanbul. Footage shows him walking in, doesn't leave out. Does not leave out, and he left his phone with his fiance. He had the watch. He had the Apple Watch on. So they have audio, and he is believed to have been murdered and dismembered while inside this building and taking out a team of, they said, 15 people. They saw these people enter. They've entered. They took planes over, like all that stuff. I mean, because just cameras everywhere. And a country like Saudi Arabia, something like this happening, somebody in the royal family knew. And the father is older. You're not old. Father's way older than you. And his son is about 10 years younger than me. And he's pretty much running this type of stuff. Now, big things, the king's going to handle that. But the prince, he's doing a lot of this because he's preparing for his ascent. So a lot of this, we got some journalists mouthing off. There's some stuff that he's going to have his squad handle. And that's what happened here, clearly. I mean, it's obvious what happened. But Trump has business with them. Kushner parading around with the prince. They're close to the same age. And they're trying to make business moves. So his take on the media and his general embracing of dictatorships and monarchies and these type of absolute rule makes some people feel like, okay, he ain't gonna care about this. This is not gonna affect our business, is it?
Exactly. And this is what I'm saying, that the American people have an opportunity in a couple weeks
3 weeks.
to make a decision on which way you want this country to go. Because you can see what's happening in the elections. Obama, in 2016, he told y'all, the decision is up to us what kind of country we want to have.
Right.
And now, if you didn't know what kind of person Donald Trump was, you know now.
Yeah.
And so, he is only going to get emboldened. Even and if he's in here going into 2019-20, it's all over for this country because you've already set the mold in, and those justices, the old ones, they can't last that long. And he gonna have all the justices in there that he wants. He gonna end up making 4 or 5 selections.
That would be, my gosh, that would just be.
This would be a dictatorship.
That would change. That would, when people say, I don't care, when they say ignorant stuff like, I don't care who the president is or who the mayor is or governor is, don't affect my life, don't change my life. what you just said, that would affect everybody's life. Everybody. And then at that point, it's too late. It's too late to vote because they're going to just start boxing out, sections of the population that wouldn't vote in their favor.
Right. Exactly.
When you're going to want to vote, it's going to be too late.
It's going to be too late. It's too
So
late.
you got to do it now.
It's too late. You're right.
And it's almost too late.
Now what you said there is very important to understand. If you don't do it now, and they get all their judges in, all the people they want in office, it's gonna be too late. You ain't gonna be able to vote. They're gonna say we don't allow y'all to vote, and
right.
look you in the eye and say, you can't vote.
Right. They're did you see what they're trying to do to the Native Americans in Dakota, where if they don't have an address on their license, that they can't vote. Mm-mm. But these Native Americans on on what do you call it, the reservations, mm-hmm. they don't have street addresses. They have P.O. boxes. And
okay.
so
what
they're doing is trying to say, well, y'all can't vote because those are Democrats. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to do that. So now they have some organizations up there that are making IDs for people for free and putting the they have a general address that they're able to use. But a lot of these people,
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, a lot of these people, and it's just it's just one of the other tricks that they do to try to box people out.
And then Dwayne, I'm just thinking about let's make America great again. I'm thinking about these voting. When the time they're talking about, you couldn't vote. They were the only ones voting.
Right.
Let's make it great again. You couldn't vote, and that's what they're trying to get back to, like you just said.
Right. And that's why people that support Trump that look like you and me, mm-hmm. it's so frustrating mm-hmm. because they're so ignorant. Mm-hmm. Because they clearly, when I see an ignoramus like Kanye West wearing the Make America Great Again hat, when he's so ignorant that he doesn't know what that means. Mm-hmm. Did you see that circus last week? Mm-hmm. I couldn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Couldn't watch the whole thing. But what really bothered me is that there were a couple things, but one of the main things is there was a point where he wanted to shake Trump's hand, and he got up and went around the table. Trump assuming you're going to shake my hand, and he embraces him and hugs him. And his face, it was kind of like it's a surprise if somebody hugs you think they'll shake your hand. It was just kind of like, I wanted you to perform, but chill out, nigga. You're doing too much. You know what I mean? You ain't got to do that much. And then you got Jim Brown sitting there. You talk about credibility that's gone. Mm-hmm. For the people that even know who he is.
He bowed down when he got. Somebody told me he bowed down to the president when he first got there.
Brown or Kanye?
Kanye.
I didn't see that.
I don't know somebody.
Yeah,
I heard it. I don't know where I heard that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
He said.
Well, you know where he is right now?
Yes.
Where?
In Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and his wife. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uganda.
Yeah, Uganda.
Mm-hmm. I just, with every passing week, he goes lower and lower. Mm-hmm. He goes lower and lower.
But we had somebody on here a couple of weeks ago who was supporting the Republicans, and he said that, of course, he's a staunch Democrat, but this Republican answered the telephone for me. He'll call me back.
Right.
And so it's just so low. The bar to get your support is just so low. There's no. We have to have a plan of action, and you've got to stand. It's what Martin Luther King said. If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? You got to have something that you stand. You got to have some principles.
Right.
And that's what's happening in this country today. We're losing our principles, our morality,
right.
What we stand for.
Right.
And we've allowed somebody to corrupt us. and they falling. They going for the okie doke.
And that's it. That's what's happened. The corruption and no pride, no sense of, I don't know, but it's
this is if this country does not vote as they should in 2 weeks from now, this will be no different than having Al Capone as the president of the United States. A criminal enterprise.
right. And Al Capone died of syphilis.
Yeah.
If that happened to our current president, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And what was he?
They both
And what was he in jail for?
tax evasion. How about that? That I think that sums it up real good. We're gonna be back next week. I believe that we're gonna have somebody here from Just Democrats, and I believe that Ben Smith is gonna be here, our guest next week, and we're gonna talk about voting and some of the efforts that Just Democrats are doing around the country. So we're going to talk to him, and then of course we're going to talk about some of the top news stories at that time. So Dad, thank you as always.
Hey, my son, I'm glad to be here.
All right, so we're gonna be back next week. Thanks for watching.
We got to be fired up.
Oh, ready to go. Fired up and ready to go. Absolutely. All right.
All right, man.